So good morning, everybody. We are on week 35, day 2. Last week of school is week 41, so we're almost near the end. Today's due now. Check out surface area number 2 and surface area review. We will be reviewing both those homework assignments at the end of class today. And we're doing it at the end of class because I want to give you some work time because last class you were working on the IXLs, and if you did up to a certain score for your IXL 30, you would work on the worksheet, but I want to give you some more time to work on the surface area review worksheet. So we'll save the last 10 to 15 minutes for homework review. Objectives: I can understand the relationship between volume, base area, and height. So the first 4 weeks, we spent time on area of 2D shapes and then surface area of 3D shapes. Today, we're going to start investigating volume, okay? And it's very similar to the activity that we did with circles, where you're measuring things with circles, circular objects with string. You're going to be doing a little investigation, exploring to see, to make sense of volume. Language objective is I can write volume calculations, and the social objective, I can collaborate with my partner to predict the volume of each 3D shape. For today's agenda, we have intro to volume, then there'll be work time to finish the worksheet that was passed out on Monday or Tuesday, and then homework review followed by planner. So for our first activity, what I want you to do is to predict the volume for the rectangular prism that I'm about to pass out to your team. When you have that prediction down, just write it down somewhere, and then I'll give you a sheet of paper, actually a scratch sheet of paper, and I want you to write down your prediction and explain to me how you came up with that prediction. So we'll start with activity 1 first. Okay, so now that you've all made your predictions in your teams, and I've read out some of the predictions. As I mentioned, there were 4 different predictions: 56, 60, 84, and 94. We're going to actually, I'll reveal the answer at the very end of class, but we're going to actually be working on activity 2 to make sure we hone in our understanding of what volume is. So in activity 2, I'm going to ask you to complete the graphic organizer with your partner, taking turns writing the volume calculations for each problem. So if I can get your attention up front, so I know that you understand the instructions. So let me bring up the worksheet. It's on your table also. You'll see 3 different shapes: one of a rectangular prism, one of a triangular prism, and one of a cylinder. The first thing I want you to do for the first problem, second problem, third problem, is to draw the shape of the base. What does the base look like? Draw that shape. Once you draw the shape, how many cubes fit on top of the base? So you're going to be given small cubes right here. Okay, so small cubes. And you're going to lay them on top of the shape that you have. And see how many of those cubes fit on top of that base. Once you figure out how many cubes fit on top of the base, you're going to figure out how many cubes make the height. So stack up your cubes to see how many cubes make up the height of this rectangular prism. And then lastly, I want you to figure out the volume by taking the base area times the height. Okay? So we're focusing on volume today. And you're going to be doing it with 3 different shapes. So decide who among your pair is going to do the first problem. Do all the writing for the first problem. Who's going to be the other person doing the writing for the second problem, and then the first person to do the writing for all the third problem. You're more than welcome to collaborate with each other. I encourage that because we're learning something new today. Okay, so now that everyone had a chance to write the individual exit ticket on defining what you think volume means, we are going to go over the results. I had to again do activity 1. After doing the activity 2, practicing it with a rectangular prism, a triangular prism, and a cylinder. And here are your solutions that you wrote down. Before I share your final solution, I do want to remind you that there were 4 different answers that this class came up with. 60, 56, 84, and 94. So here's what each team came up with. 60 for one team, 60 for another team, 60 for the next team, 60 for the team after that, and 60 for the last team. So it looks like you guys all agree that the answer is 60.
Yes.
I think the activity did help you make sure what the actual answer is, right? We're gonna talk more about that and along with the formulas that are attached to each of them. And if you have a strong understanding of what the area of the base is, the formula is not complicated. It just goes off of everything we did in 2 dimensions. Okay, and you were finding the areas of the square, the rectangle today, sorry, the square today, the triangle today, and the circle. All we included was the height, that was the only difference. Okay, so go ahead and work on surface area number 2 worksheet and surface area review. I'll pass out the answer keys on your table to check. And in 15 minutes, we'll go over the answers to any problems that you want to review in class. As always, just write it on the board.